This Sunday is a very special Sunday. It is Promotion Sunday. Yay! We have so many kids who have already moved up at their schools, but we are moving up into our classes this week. So on Sunday, when you get to church, on your door to your classroom, you will see a piece of paper like this, and it will have your new roll sheet for all the kids that are new in your class. Now, if for some reason you get there and there's a mistake on it, there's something that's incorrect, if you'll just make a note at the bottom for me, if you'll just write that on there. This week for attendance, I'm going to ask you to do that in your class. So if you'll just mark a check mark if they're there, you can just leave it blank if they're not. And then at the bottom, if there's any sort of mistake, let me know, like if their name's misspelled, if they are really in third grade and they should have moved up to the third grade class, those kinds of things. If there's anything like that, please let me know. This week, we also kick off our new curriculum. I love this lesson that we are getting ready to talk about for the older kids through Gospel Project. This story of Elijah, he is one of my most favorite characters in Scripture. And I know you'll find that I say that a lot because it depends on kind of what I'm going through at the time as to who kind of speaks to me the most right then. I love the story of Elijah and the widow because it just amazes me when I think about all the things that are happening. So let me give you a little bit of background information. So Solomon has passed away, and last week we talked about how the kingdom divided. And so the nation of Israel, after Solomon died, it splits into two tribes. The northern kingdom of Israel and then the southern kingdom of Judah. Jeroboam was the king of Israel, and Solomon's son Rehoboam was the king of Judah, and they are constantly at war. Then Ahab becomes the king of Israel, and Ahab is one of the worst kings in the entire book of Scripture, and his wife Jezebel is even worse. That's why we still call and use that name in our culture today. For someone who behaves that way. And so Elijah's name is very, very important. And it kind of talks about that in your leader study guide. There's three major events that happen in 1 Kings chapter 17. Elijah announces the drought. Ahab and his wife Jezebel encourage people to worship Baal. And that's the punishment for the drought. The second one is Elijah visits a widow. And then the third one is Elijah raises a widow's son from the dead. So tonight, or this week, we're going to look at how he visited the widow. So this story is so powerful because you can see how God immediately provided what they needed. A lot of times we have to wait for things. This particular passage, we see God immediately move on their behalf. So because Ahab had been so horrible, God sends a drought on the land. And we all know what droughts are. When there's no rain. If there's no rain, there's no crops. If there's no crops, the animals begin to die. If there's no animals, the people have less to eat. So it was a major thing. And now it's major, but especially in their culture, when they didn't have industrialized farming the way that we do, when they didn't have the great big sprinklers that we drive by and we see in fields. They didn't have water hoses and things like that. So it was very, very different. God sends Elijah after he makes this proclamation to King Ahab that there won't be any rain out to a stream. And God has birds, ravens, bring food for Elijah so Elijah can eat and be nourished. And then the stream dries up because no rain has come. For years now, no rain has come. And so he God then sends Elijah to go into a small village. And he does, and there he meets this widow. And he tells her, please bring me something to eat. Now, in that day and time, if you were a widow, it was not like you are a widow today. She is a widow with a young boy, and that's it. And she couldn't own property. She couldn't get a job. She was extremely vulnerable. And this man comes to her and says, give me something to eat. And she's afraid. Can you imagine? I mean, put yourself in her shoes for just a minute. And her plan was, I'm going to make one last tortilla for me and my son. We're going to eat it, and then we're going to die because we don't have anything else. She's desperate. She's hopeless. She is at the end of her resources. I mean, the best plan with every bit of her heart and mind that she can come up with is to eat this and then to pass away. That breaks my heart to think of her in that place. And that's who God sends Elijah to visit. And she makes him that and gives it to him. And then he tells her this crazy thing. God says, you are not going to run out of flour or oil until rain comes again. I feel like I would have the tendency to question or to say, no, this is my plan. I'm sticking with it. I want to protect. I want to do the very best I can for my son with the very last amount of resources that I have. But that's not what this widow does. She makes the cake, she makes the tortilla, and she gives it to Elijah, and he eats it. And guess what? The flour and the oil don't run out. She goes back, and there's more. 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 I don't know if it's just with everything that's going on right now and being away from home and my dad not being well, that I really relate to the widow right now. That sometimes we are at the end of our resources. But God says, give me this and let me multiply it. And that's what he does in her life. And then sometime later, the boy gets sick. And when the boy gets sick, Elijah actually heals him. It's an incredible story. He lays on him and breathes on him, and he comes back to life. It's amazing. So I pray that this week, as you go through and you study your lesson, that it really will bless you. I'm sorry this video is a little bit longer than the other ones, but these lessons just really spoke to my heart. And I pray that it really, really speaks to you. I want to read you the key passage of our big overarching kind of verse for this unit that we're in. And it's from Isaiah 42:8. And it says, I am the Lord. That is my name. My glory I give to no other, nor my praise to carved idols. I pray this week as we all study and we all get ready for Sunday that we would be challenged to make sure we're not giving God's glory or praise to anyone or anything other than him. I am so thankful for you guys. I'm excited about your new classes. I pray that you'll be a blessing to those kids. I know you will. Thank you for praying for me and my family. And I cannot wait to see how this week goes. So bless you guys. Thank you for everything that you do. And we'll see you on Sunday.